How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? My name is RuffledRowlit, and welcome back to a brand video. Today, guys, we've got some Pokemon rumors to take a look at, and also some minuscule news. So, let's get started with the official stuff first. First of all, there is some new holoware in Pokemon Unite, specifically for Slowbro. It's a porcelain-style outfit for him, in case you're looking for that. As well as if you're playing Pokemon Go, they have started the global challenge. I think it's about to, I think it pretty much is about to end soon? At least like the big event for a lot of people, where you can just capture a bunch of Pokemon. Also, Pokemon Masters EX has announced a Victor's Cooking Class event, which is going to be taking place. So that's some of the official stuff. I want to just quickly mention that. Also, a bit of a heads up, guys. This weekend, so starting from tomorrow, you have the Unrivaled Empoleon for the second run, right? It's going to be the second half of the Empoleon run. So if you haven't gotten that yet, get it now, because once it runs out this time, you're not going to be able to get it anymore. So if you haven't gotten the Empoleon yet, it's your one chance to still get it. And also, next week, right? So this is starting from the 14th, I think, right? It's the 14th, actually the 12th until the 15th, is the Love Disc Spotlight. So this is going to be specifically 3 to 5 star Love Discs, which you're going to be able to get your hands on in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. This, of course, is for Valentine's Day. I mean, it's a literal freaking heart Pokemon. So, yeah, I just wanted to mention that really quick, tell you guys to go check it out, get your hands on it now if you haven't already, because it's an event that's going to be limited, and of course, once it's gone, it's gone. It's not one of those things you're ever going to be able to get anymore going into the future. So definitely get your hands on those, and let's move on to the next one, which is going to be a post here on 4chan, and this one is features a really cool image here. I actually know the artist who made this this artwork. It's a pretty sick looking Rayquaza, but what is it actually talking about? Well, the actual post, and you can see here, is actually Tommy K. So he actually shared this with me, like this whole artwork set he made of every single legendary. But what he said here is the following, which is Pokemon Day leaks. And, well, what does it have to mention? First things first, Pokemon Direct... Wait, Pokemon Direct? I guess... Is that a miswritten thing? Because Pokemon doesn't do directs anymore. Pokemon does presents now, right? Like, now it's called the Pokemon Presents. So we're going to move on down, like, later down the list, because that's the thing. Nintendo Directs, that's a separate thing. Pokemon Presents, that's one thing. Nintendo Directs are not the same thing as Pokemon Presents. Like, basically, they rebranded it. Like, that's the way we're going to put it, right? They've rebranded Pokemon Directs into Pokemon Presents. So, yeah, him calling it a Pokemon Direct is a bit odd, but let's just assume that that's like a, you know, a typo. Moving on, though, the next thing says Nintendo Switch 2 to be presented at the Nintendo Direct a few days before. Now, we haven't actually gotten the announcement of when a new Nintendo Direct's coming out, but there has been rumors. And there is one post I want to bring up, which actually I would say is a relatively important post, which was made by Centro Pokemon, which kind of contradicts what they initially said, which is a little bit sus, but let's take a look at the actual post. So if you go down here, you'll see that he made a post here saying, latest whispers are pointing out that next week's Nintendo Direct is potentially a Nintendo Direct Mini. So this is posted by Central Leaks, and he basically then says here, summary of current rumors. Apparently, the Switch 2 reveal is speculated to happen in March, which is interesting. And then the next general Direct wouldn't happen until after Switch 2. So again, when in March, because we're not too far away from March now. Also, them doing it in March wouldn't be that weird because the original Switch came out in March itself. So it wouldn't be that crazy to assume. However, where is he getting this from? Well, it's from this post on Reddit from Gaming Leaks and Rumors. We can actually take a look at the actual post itself here. Pretty much what it goes through. So we're going to go through that first before we read that 4chan rumor about Pokemon. So here's what it says. Nate the Hate thinks that the next Nintendo Direct will be Partner Direct with no General Direct in February. Believes that Switch 2. So basically a Partner Direct basically just means a like one of those indie directs, right? Like one about like indie games, third-party titles, stuff like that. Nothing to do with official like Mario, you know, none of that shit. No, Pokemon, Zelda, you know, none of that shit. It's just basically talking about indie games, right? Which is nothing wrong with those. Indie games are amazing. Some indie games are way better. Majority of indie games are actually way better than official stuff, but whatever. Either way, what he says here, though, is that he believes that Switch 2 reveal will come in March. So here's the key bits from the latest episode of his podcast, trying to stick to what leans more concrete sounding and not so much speculation about granular hardware details. So remember, this is coming from an actual insider person, someone who, you know, has been spot on with this kind of information in the past, right? And it's this guy, Nate the Hate, I'm guessing in this case. So what he says here is, and this is quoting him, which is, I'm going to into the first Direct of the year with the expectation that it's going to be a Partner Direct. I don't think Nintendo will host a General Direct this February. I think they're going to do a third parties instead. So yes, basically just implying that it's going to be a, Indies Direct, Nindies, whatever you want to call them, like an Indie Direct for third-party titles. He's previously stated on Family Boards that I know the exact format of the Direct and what to expect from it. So that's pretty much what we should expect in February. So this month, according to this guy, according to this insider, don't expect to be seeing the Nintendo Switch 2. However, he does say, and he continues on here, after hearing whispers last year about something in March, he says, I am of the belief that March is referring to the reveal timing of Switch 2. The Switch 2 reveal seems as though it's very likely to occur sometime in March, pre-GDC. So GDC, if I remember correctly, is like it's like a game developer conference, which takes place every year, and it's like a lot of game developer go. There's like sometimes stuff comes out of GDC, right? Like some games will not really get announced, but stuff about games will be kind of given to us, or we'll learn about certain information from there. So according to this, it's potentially that we're going to be seeing something around then. So I mean, hey, at the end of the day, anything is possible. Moving on though, suspects backwards compatibility is a factor in doing a partner direct now and a general later. Okay, so apparently the reason I believe that this is that is the Switch 2, I think will have a backwards compatibility. By holding the next general direct to June, May, whenever Nintendo opts to drop one, there is no risk in showing your current Switch games with Switch 2 games because everything would be playable on Switch 2. Okay. I mean, in some way, it would make sense, right? Like, to not do... Like, if they're not revealing the Switch now, right, in February, then it makes no sense for them to do a Nintendo Direct in February at all. And the reason I say that makes no sense is because you got to think about it, right? Why would they do a Nintendo Direct in February announcing Switch 1 games for the original Switch, announcing a bunch of games for that, and then literally the month after in March announcing a brand new console, only to basically say, oh yeah, all these games we just announced, who gives a shit about them? We got a new console, baby. Like, it would be kind of counterproductive in a sense, right? And kind of counterintuitive to do that. From a business standpoint, right? It just wouldn't make sense from a business standpoint. You would just be losing out on money at that point. So I guess it makes more sense to do a partner showcase, get a few sales on that, whatever games get announced, maybe some small games, maybe some mini games, whatever. Basically do one of those, make some cash, make some skrilla dollar, and then in March announce the Switch 2, and then do a proper big direct later in the year to announce more games for the Switch 2 itself, right? Because backwards compatibility is probably going to be the one thing that's going to cause people to be willing to buy it early on or adopt the Switch 2 just by the merit that you'll be able to actually play your Switch games. Now, I am curious. They say backwards compatible. Does that only talk about cartridges, or are we talking about your whole library? Like, can I just log in with my Nintendo Switch account, my regular Nintendo account, right, into the Switch 2 and have access to all my already pre-purchased game? Like, do I need to rebuy Scarlet and Violet, right, again, to play it on that console? Like, that would be ridiculous in my opinion. But they do say backwards compatible, but that's something Nintendo's always done, right? Think about, like, every console if you go back in time, starting from, like, the Game Boy, like, Color could still play Game Boy games. The Game Boy Advance could even still play Game Boy games. And then the DS, the first iteration, it's never like the second ones or the future ones. It's always the first gen of a new console, always has compatibility with the previous one. So, for example, the Nintendo DS, the original one, the first one, had a cartridge slot for Game Boy games. And then shortly after that, when they did iterations of it, they removed that. So basically, the Switch 2, whatever it's called, again, it's a speculated name, the Switch 2 is only going to be a temporary name in the beginning. That's just going to, that's going to be like, that's just what we're going to work with. But in the beginning, it's going to have access for you to shove in and use your, regular Switch games on it, backwards compatibility, but then iteration 2, so the Switch Pro, like the Switch 2 Pro, whatever it might be called, or the Switch 2 Lite, or the Switch 2 OLED, who gives a shit? The point is, the second version of the Switch 2, that's when they're going to remove that. The same way as the DS and the DS Lite and all the other iterations of it, right? And then the 3DS was another step up, and then they had the DS compatibility, and then they removed it with, like, I think they removed it with, like, the 2DS and the 2DS XL and all that sort of stuff. My point just stands that initially, there should be backwards compatibility, which means there shouldn't be any problem with cartridges. I just wonder how it is with, like, games that you have on, like, the platform, like downloaded games, because that's when shit gets really, like, messy, and that's like why people, like, the whole eShop the eShop was closing down on the 3DS. That was a whole mess. But either way, let's just see where this goes. I'm curious where this is leading, what this means. We'll have to see. But that's basically what he says right now. So I guess that this would imply that we shouldn't be expecting any sort of Nintendo massive reveal this month, but according to this guy, next month, right? So that's the way I see this. And again, if we look at the post itself, the guy here, like, you can actually go and watch, like, you guys can go check out this post, and you can actually check out what this guy actually says in this podcast about these things, because it's an insider. But yeah, like this guy actually says here, I don't know, there are still a few Switch games that we need info on, which is true as well. So, I don't know, man. I mean, is the Switch 2 going to get announced? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. It's all about, you know, it's all up in the air at the moment. But either way, let's move back to the actual rumor we were supposed to read in the beginning, because I think it's worthwhile to go through this one, just because it's fun to read. But next one, though, here's what it said. So this rumor says, Nintendo Switch 2 to be presented at the Nintendo Direct a few days before. A big doubt on that one now. Continuing, Pokemon Direct, again, it's a present, kicks off with a quick trailer announcing the next Pokemon movie. I wonder if they would ever do that. I wonder if they would actually announce a Pokemon movie during a Pokemon Presents. I mean, Pokemon Presents isn't just for video games. It's for all things Pokemon, technically. But I feel like if they really wanted to make the Presents all about, like, celebrating Pokemon, they should announce the movie there. They should announce, like, new chapters for the manga. They should, you know, the Pokemon Adventures manga, which I think isn't even called Adventures anymore. It's got a separate name. Like, I feel like they should announce all that stuff during a Presents. Like, just to, like, you know, get people into that kind of stuff. You know, a lot of people don't even know the Pokemon manga exists, and it's really sick, but nobody even knows of its existence. But it's actually one of the best-selling manga of all time, which is insane. Didn't even know that. It's just pretty crazy. But, moving on, though, they say here, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, Terrastall Raid 5th of March until the 15th of March, a Water Ho-Oh and a Fire Lugia. Ooh, so like inverted, right? That's pretty cool. Actually, you know what? That sounds like a reasonable thing to do if there's going to be a Pokemon Johto game announced, right? Like, then I wouldn't see that being too far-fetched to, you know, assume that could be a possibility, right? Water Ho-Oh, I guess, to kind of mimic the, you know, water, like, you know, aspect of Lugia, I guess, in this sense, and Fire Lugia, because, of course, Ho-Oh, right? Either way, moving on. The next thing is Pokemon Unite, Miraidon, and Ceruledge to be played next week. So the next week of when he posted this post, I guess, next week? Okay. We know Miraidon. I don't know about Ceruledge. I think I've seen leaks about Ceruledge. I've seen some leaks about Pokemon Unite actually getting Ceruledge, but I haven't seen anything concrete posted anywhere just yet. Miraidon, though, that one we already know, so that's nothing new. That's just kind of known information. As for when it's playable, that I am unsure of. Maybe Pokemon Unite players, you guys might know better than me. Moving on, though, it says Pokemon Cafe Remix, Ogerpon and Base Terrapagos recruitable. Okay, so again, Cafe Remix have an Ogerpon. I've seen enough posts about Ogerpon being included. Like, so many that mention that. Moving on, Pokemon Masters EX, AI Turo and Miraidon, as well as AI Sada and Koraidon. Ooh, that one would be sick. I don't know if that's going to happen, though, because there's already been so many updates in Pokemon Masters. I don't know if they would do that right now, but ooh, that would be sick. I wouldn't mind that. Again, my problem is I live in Belgium, so I can literally not play Pokemon Masters EX. Like, I've tried a different shit. I have an iPhone, which basically makes it impossible. Moving on, though, they say Pokemon Go, again, the Captain Pikachu event, just after the Direct. Brother, I keep seeing the Captain Pikachu hat thing so many times. Like, it's starting to get on that level of the Caterpie guy from Twitter who keeps wanting to have a cowboy hat Caterpie. Moving on, though, the next thing here is Pokemon Legends Rayquaza. This is different, okay? This is different. So every other post I've seen, none of them have said, like, hey, let's go to, like, Ho-Oh, right? Sorry, let's go to Hoenn, right? None of them have said that. Everything has always been like, you know, oh, it's Johto, this and that, but I haven't seen a single one about Rayquaza? Hoenn? What? It says it's an RPG. 6 zones, okay. It says there the crater of Satopolis City is the last one, created during the scenario. Okay, so it gets created, I guess, during a scenario in this game, according to this guy. Girl, whoever, individual. Moving on, though, one of the regions close to the Hoenn... Wait, what? One of the regions? What does he mean by one of the regions? Close to the Hoenn Forestry City is a gigantic jungle. Okay, what is he? Regions? Because region in Pokemon and region in the world is two kind of conflicting terms, but I don't know what he's trying to say there. I guess he's trying to say that the area next to Fortree City would be a gigantic jungle. I guess that's what he's trying to imply here. But again, I digress. I could be totally freaking wrong. Moving on, though, he says that there will be many more primal Pokemon, including Rayquaza, but not only legendary Pokemon. Okay, so Rayquaza is one of them, apparently, according to this guy. All right. He says here that everything is under development compared to Hoenn. So I guess he's trying to say that, like, it'll be a version of Hoenn, but it's set in the past, and it looks very oldie, and stuff hasn't actually been built, except New Mawile, okay? A very modern and sophisticated city, but can't be developed more because of the genius who built it disappeared. The ancestor to the DLC to Scarlet and Violet Man. What? Wait, the ancestor to the DLC to Scarlet and Violet Man. Wait, I need to dissect this one. Ancestor, okay, that part I get, to DLC 2. DLC 2, that's the second DLC, Indigo Disc. So, Scarlet and Violet Man. Who is that? Toru Sada? Who are we talking about? That's a bit confusing. Or maybe, I guess it is Toru Sada, because they did kind of, like, disappear for a while, right? And then show up in the future with us. It's just a bit odd. That would be a bit weird. I guess it would be a cool connection, though. I wouldn't see that being an impossible thing for them to do. He continues on saying that the genius left behind a device that enables us to mind control our Pokemon. See, this is, like, I don't know, here's the thing. These rumors, they're obviously all over the place, and they're obviously really, like, far-fetched and stuff. But I like when they take stuff that makes sense and mix it in with shit that doesn't make sense, and then it makes, like, a nice little mess. So he's trying to say that, like, the device, right? Like, the device we use, and I forget what it's called now, but it's like the prototype of the device that we have, which allows us to basically control Pokemon in the Indigo Disc. He's implying that that device has been left behind by Turo or Sada or whatever, has been left behind in this Hoenn region by Turo Sada, and now that's being used to mind control Pokemon, which is fair and all. Moving on, though, he says Pokemon are controllable in an action RPG setting. Battles are dynamic. Oh, dude, don't give me hope. That's the problem. I hate this. I hate because this is giving me hope. I love action combat. I love action combat. I know a lot of Pokemon fans hate it. The idea of it, they just despise it. But I love action combat. I like games where I can control the thing that I am, and I can decide what attacks I'm going to use in that exact moment, and I can dodge and, you know, more skill-based than luck-based. So personally, I would love that. I know a lot of people would hate it, though. Actually, let me know in the comment section, guys. Would you prefer action-based combat in Pokemon, like them to try something like that in the future? Or do you just want to stay true to form and only turn-based and nothing else? Because I feel like there's a good way they can do it. I want to think about something like, I want to say, like, I don't know. I'm just trying to think of, like, a good example of, like, a game. Undertale, I guess, is a good example of a game where, like, kind of, it is not really, it's like an action-based combat, but it's kind of not at the same time in a weird way. Not that I want Undertale combat in Pokemon, but I'm saying is, like, you know, you can try to do something different with it. Like, try to use, like, mix those two things together. Because I've seen games do it. I think Grand Blue Fantasy, or whatever it's called, I think the newest game in that series actually did do a really cool thing with the combat. Look it up if you guys want to. It's actually pretty sick. But, continuing, though, it says that Pokemon are controllable in action RPG, and then, of course, we're going to be able to do a battle of dynamic battles. Okay, and our rival is Zinnia's ancestor and has a huge place in the scenario, including through her clan, the Draconic people. Okay, I guess that will make sense. Moving on, Mount Chimney's activity is much stronger and is one of the main protrusions that leads to the scenario at the beginning of the game, okay? The game is much more stable than Legends Arceus. Even in the jungle zone, constant 1080p 60 hertz, okay? All right. Released early 2025. Interesting. So the only thing this guy says it will be announced, according to him, is just a Legends Rayquaza, which, I'm gonna be real, actually, I would love that. I mean, dude, let's just throw Johto and Unova away. Let's go to Hoenn, dude. Let's go to Hoenn, baby. Like, I realistically speaking, it's really far-fetched, but I like the idea of it. Like, I personally would be fully on board for us just going to Hoenn instead and doing shit over there. And actually, it would be pretty interesting, because then what that would imply is that all those hints they left to Johto and Unova were just red herrings, right? They were just messing with us. And they didn't actually mean anything, right? Like, that is just literally them poking us there, like, you know, you thought you were going to get it, because they've done similar things in the past. Like, I think in Diamond and Pearl, or it might have been Black and White. I think it might have been Black and White, where they actually remade all the Gen 3 models, like all the sprites for the Gen 3 Pokemon. They redid all of them, and then people thought, oh my god, they redid all the models for Gen 3. Holy shit, boys, we're getting Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald remakes. Let's go! And it never happened, right? And then it happened the generation after that, X and Y. So is it possible that everybody now expecting you know, Unova especially. Unova's the big one. Is it possible that because, like, they're hinting it so much that it might be one of those things where they're like, wink, wink, haha, we fuck with you. You're not gonna get it. It's actually next time. Haha, next generation, bitches. Woohoo! Because it wouldn't be that surprising, would it, right? It actually would make sense because this generation, Gen 9, isn't the remake year or the remake generation, right? Last Gen 8, was the remake generation. That's why we got BDSP. The year before that, or the generation before that, Gen 7, was not a remake year, which is why we didn't get a remake. We did get, like, Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, but that was, like, a whole new thing. It wasn't part of, like, the regular remake cycle, because the remake cycle has stayed the same. We've still gotten our remakes the exact order it's been, which is every other generation, right? Gen 5 doesn't get a remake, Gen 6 does. Gen 7 doesn't get a remake, Gen 8 does. Gen 9 doesn't get a remake, Generation 10 does. That's kind of the order it should go in. But again, I digress. That's going to be the end of the video, guys. Thank you all for watching. Let me know your thoughts and your opinions. Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out. Bye-bye.